Welcome to the All Things Overlanding podcast. Get ready to live, learn, and discover. Hey everybody, welcome to All Things Overlanding. This is the second episode of the vlog/podcast. So this will be going up on all the major podcast channels as well as on my YouTube channel, which you can find by searching for All Things Overlanding on YouTube. Today's topic is going to be talking about rig modifications. So if you're new to overlanding, if you've never been overlanding before and you're interested in getting into it, I'm going to be talking about some budget-minded ideas for how to get into overlanding, starting with your rig. So last week we talked about gear. This week we're going to talk about what kind of modifications do you need to your vehicle in order to be able to get out there and explore things. Now again, I'm going to be talking from a budget-minded standpoint. So there are a lot of people out there that talk about, a $500 awning, a $2,000, $3,000 rooftop tent. If those are the kind of things you're looking for, then this probably won't be the podcast or vlog for you. Eventually we'll get there, but right now we're talking about just bare bones basics. I'm trying to get as many people as possible into overlanding. And in order to do that, I want to talk about things that don't cost $1 million a piece. So today we're going to talk about 5 major topics. Topic 1 is going to be tires, because that's really important as far as where you can get, things that you can overcome as far as obstacles go. The second thing is going to be recovery. And a lot of people talk about recovery, but here's the thing. If you get stuck anywhere, you're going to need to have rear recovery points. You're going to have front recovery points. You're going to have to be able to self-recover. So we'll have to talk about that. The third part of this is going to be repair. So again, the idea behind overlanding is making large trips, long trips by yourself or maybe with other people, hopefully with other people. And if you happen to break down anywhere, you're going to want to make sure that you have repair tools, spare parts, things like that. So we'll talk about that in more detail on this podcast/vlog. And then the fourth thing we're going to be talking about is trail clearing. So you'd be surprised how many times you're going to go down some backwoods trail or some abandoned forest road, fire road, things like that, and you're going to come across a downed tree or some sort of obstacle that you're going to need to clear. So we'll talk about that as well. And then the fifth part of this is going to be air. Air compressors are extremely important if you get a flat tire. If you air down to traverse extreme terrain, you're going to need to air back up. If you have a big enough air compressor, you could run air tools, which will make things a lot easier if you have to do repairs on the trail. So that's kind of the fifth thing that I want to talk about. So hopefully that gives you an idea of exactly what we're going to talk about today. If you haven't already and you're new to the channel, please click subscribe on the podcast channel. Please like it. Please comment. If you're watching this on YouTube, please click like, comment below if you have future topics you'd like me to cover, and subscribe to me on All Things Overlanding on YouTube. Also, I have a website, allthingsoverlanding.com. So again, I just want to give you guys as much useful information as possible. So please subscribe, like, comment, follow me on Facebook and Instagram, and I'd love to hear from you guys. So let's get going with topic number 1. So topic number 1, tires. Down below, I'm going to link to a friend of mine's video that he did recently on a cheap tire review for the Patagonias. This is a less expensive brand of tires. It's Selcouth Overlanding, which is a great channel. You should definitely check it out. They did an awesome review. It's hilarious, actually. You should definitely watch it. Again, I'll put a link down below in the description. So check out the Patagonias. They definitely seem to be a good MT tire, a good mud terrain tire for people that are looking for that kind of thing without a lot of road noise and with good handling capabilities off-road and on-road. So check those out. Me personally, I've run Kenda Clever ATs for the last 4 years probably on my Xterra. I really like them. For an AT, they have good road manners. They're pretty quiet on the road. Off-road, I've had no problems. I've never gotten stuck in anything that I shouldn't. I mean, if I do something stupid and I put myself down in a bog, you're going to get stuck with ATs. It doesn't matter. The great thing about those tires, though, is, and again, I'll put a link below to those, I found them for about a set of 4 for about $550, $600 shipped. So definitely check those tires out. They're great tires. Again, I've had them for 4 years. I've probably put about 35,000, 40,000 miles on them. And they've lasted all that time, and I probably have another year, year and a half, 2 years maybe if I'm lucky before they'll be bad and I'll need to replace them. So I highly recommend those tires. So tires, of course, are going to make the difference between getting stuck somewhere and not getting stuck somewhere. So again, think about your terrain, think about where you're going to be going. If you mostly drive your vehicle on roads and you daily it every day, and then you maybe go 3, 4, 5 times a year on trips, ATs are probably the way to go. If you like to off-road and go to off-road parks and do a lot of more extreme rock crawling and mudding and things like that, MTs are probably the way to go. For me personally, I went with ATs because I mostly drive on the road. But now the truck has kind of become my secondary vehicle. It's going to be more for trips and things like that. So I think my next choice will probably be either Kenda Clever's the MTs, or again, thanks to Selcouth, I may check out the Patagonias as well. So again, think about your tires, think about the obstacles that you're going to be overcoming, and then make a good decision based on reviews and watching videos like this. Thing number 2, recovery. So again, everybody talks about recovery. Everyone knows it's important. The thing is, from a budget standpoint, look at the stock recovery points that you have on your vehicle. Again, I personally drive a 2005 Xterra SE. It comes with one front hook on the front, which is less than ideal. And mine came with a hitch on the rear, so I bought a CSI is the brand. I'll put a link down below. Hitch-mounted D-ring receiver. I really like that receiver. It's great. It gives me a single point right in the middle of the truck to recover from the rear. It's strong. I've used it a number of times. I've never had any problems with it. Ideally, I eventually will probably get a through bumper double D-ring mount for the rear bumper, or a full bumper with an additional tire carrier on the back. That would be ideal, except that I do get into the back a lot, and with a rear tire carrier, you have to put that down out of the way. It's a lot of weight, a lot of stress on the rear bumper, and then you have to open up the back. So again, if you're accessing the back quite a bit, maybe the rear tire placement is not the best for you. Again, on an Xterra, for sure, there are double D-ring that you cut a hole in your bumper, basically your rear metal bumper, and the D-ring shackle, or the shackle mounts come through. I personally just have a hitch mount. That's the rear. On the front, again, I used to have a single hook type mount, which is definitely not ideal because the strap can slip off of it. You only have one, so if you're trapped and you need to get pulled out this way, I only have one on the right side. So what I've recently done is I replaced my entire front sub bumper with a Wham brand bumper that also has room for a winch. And so I've recently installed a winch on my truck. It has dual D-ring mounts on it. So I can now affix 2 D-rings to the front. So I've got 2 recovery points so I can get either side. So just be thinking about recovery. And also, in addition to just bumpers, you have to think about the tools that you need to bring with you. ARB makes a nice little kit that I'll link to below for recovery, but you need, at least 1 or 2 D-ring shackles. There are soft shackles and hard shackles, so it kind of depends on what you're looking for from a budget standpoint and from a safety standpoint. Soft shackles are going to be more safe than hard metal D-ring shackles, because if something happens to snap and a soft rope shackle goes, it's going to do a lot less damage to a human than a metal steel shackle. So be thinking about that stuff. Again, I'll post links to all these things I'm talking about below for that. But think about recovery, think about winches, think about straps. You want to make sure that you have something that's not going to snap. So at one point, I had a terrible experience where I bought just the cheapest possible strap that I could buy. It was not a snatch strap. It was just a toe strap. So watch out for things that are called toe straps. Things that are called toe straps are not meant to endure multiple hard pulls and yanks from the mud. Those are meant to literally put a vehicle behind that is not stuck and just tow it behind your vehicle. A recovery strap is the type that you want to look for. Those are the types that are meant to flex a little bit and take that stress and pressure when you get yanked out of a hole and not snap. So again, be thinking about that stuff when it comes to recovery. As far as repair goes, so again, if you're out in the middle of nowhere, if you've driven 12 hours to get to a location and now you're in extreme rocky terrain and you're traversing that terrain maybe by yourself or with 1 or 2 buddies or maybe more, you want to be able to ensure that if something breaks, that you've got the common spare parts available, the right tools available, a high lift available. Those are important as well. Simple things like zip ties are also important. So be thinking about repair. If something breaks on the trail, what do I need? Do I need extra axle stubs? Do I need ball joints, control arms? What are common things that are going to break on your vehicle based on what it is? If it's a Jeep or a Toyota or a Nissan or a Mitsubishi, what is my vehicle, and what are things that I have read on the forums that commonly break? So be thinking about that stuff. And then, of course, tools are the most important. When I go, I usually take my full socket set. It's a Craftsman full set with just a ton of different, 3/8, quarter, all the different types of tools that I may need. So definitely make sure that you bring the right tools. Always bring a big hammer. You never know when you're going to need that. Just whatever you can get your hands on. Zip ties are important because they will, in a pinch, work to hold, lines up if ABS lines fall down, if things start to rub. Zip ties are always a good thing to have with you. So again, just be thinking about what kind of repair items am I going to need on the trail. Getting to the fourth part of this, trail clearing. So again, if you are truly overlanding, if you're not just going to a state park and parking in a parking lot and then walking your stuff over to a parking or a camping spot, what do you need in the event of a tree being down or some sort of obstacle being in your way? Maybe it's a shovel. Maybe it's an axe. Maybe it's just a hatchet. Maybe it's a chainsaw. Maybe it's a winch. So be thinking about, again, where are you going? What possible obstacles could you face? You have to think about the space in your rig versus the things that you're going to take. So, you could take an axe, a hatchet, a chainsaw, an electric chainsaw, a gas chainsaw, gas, oil. You could have a winch on the front of your vehicle. You could have straps. You could have D-rings. You have all this stuff. But you need to think about the trip that you're taking, what's most likely, and then you need to prepare for it. So a winch is useful if a tree goes down. An axe is okay, but if it's a thick tree, you're going to be cutting for a long time, and it's going to be very difficult. So maybe a chainsaw makes sense. In my case, personally, what I went with was I have a Fiskars 23.5-inch axe mounted in the back of my Xterra. I always carry my 11.1-inch Schrade Skax 10 small hatchet for small stuff, mostly for like clearing things around the campsite, things like that. And then I have a 20-volt Black & Decker electric chainsaw, and I always carry 3 or 4 batteries with me for the chainsaw. I also generally bring the chainsaw charging thing with me so that I could plug it into my inverter if I need to. So if in a pinch I needed to charge those batteries up, it's going to take a while, but at least I have the option to charge them on the inverter. So again, be thinking about that stuff. And often underestimated is a shovel. So, it could be anything. It could be a big rock that's in the way and you need to dig around it, then move it out of the way. It could be, when you get to camp and you're trying to clear debris out to make a fire. Some people bring rakes and things like that. I personally bring a shovel because you can use it as a rake and shovel and move things out of the way. But then the shovel also gives you the ability to dig down to dig a fire pit or to clear rocks or, any obstacles that may be in the way. So trail clearing, definitely make sure that you think about that and you pack appropriately. So the final thing and fifth thing that we're going to be talking about is air. I personally run a Vire 88P compressor. Now that is not big enough to run any sort of air tools or anything like that. Personally, I've never needed air tools on the trail. Again, at most of the places that I've been within, walking distance of some place where I could at least get a signal to call out. If you are hardcore and you are going on some trails that you're going to be gone for 2 or 3 days, you might want a bigger air compressor with some sort of a tank so it can store that air so that you could run air tools. Mine is simply used for airing up tires, basically. That's essentially all I can do with my air compressor. There is an article on my website that talks more about it and where I mounted it. I love the compressor, it's great, but again, if I needed to run air tools all the time, it would not be ideal for me. So I'll link to that below, but I'll also link to a few more that have tanks with them that you could use for something like that for air tools on the trail. But so, be thinking about how efficient is my air compressor that I've got with me for airing up my tires? Can I use it for air tools if I need them? Can I use it for cleaning things off, blowing things off? And even recreational things. So I have a couple of little kids and I have a fitting for my 88P that will air up basketballs and soccer balls and things like that. Again, not essential, but definitely something that you want to be thinking about before you go on a trip and get out there and then your kids are killing you because you didn't think ahead. So that's the fifth piece of this that I wanted to get to. So again, that's pretty much all that I've got. Again, I want to keep it as short as possible and as valuable as possible for you guys. So if you have any comments, if you have anything that you want to hear me talk about, if you have any opinions on any of the things that we did talk about today, please post up below down in the comments. Please like and subscribe to the channel and the video. Let me know what you want to hear about. And again, I'm happy to talk about those things in the next video or podcast. So I hope you guys are enjoying so far. This is only number 2, so there's still a lot to come. Again, thanks so much for listening. You guys really make all this happen, and I really appreciate it. So as I always say, live, learn, discover. Get out there, check out your environment, go on trips, see what you can find, and let me know what you want to hear about. So thanks again for watching. Have a good one. This is Fletch, All Things Overlanding out. Take care.